Well, we're live.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Long-Winded One podcast.
I need to
This
have
is
an
Spoiler
outro.
Sessions, LitRPG, the only show where spoilers
Intro.
don't spoil anything. We're digging into fan theories, side characters, and the lore authors left in the drawer.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. This has been a long-awaited episode, and I'm so excited to be here tonight. With me tonight, I have for season 6, episode 34 of Spoiler Sessions. I have Benjamin Kerei. Kerei. I did it right the first time, didn't I?
You did.
Okay.
You did.
Okay. I can't do the accent. We have those American
It's
accents.
the vowels. It's the New Zealand vowels.
And I have PopPop from PopPop's. Well, everybody knows who PopPop is. PopPop from PopPop's LitRPG world. Thank you both for being here so much.
No problem.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, we did it. We got together, and we got to see each other at LitRPG Con too, which was very cool. I'm already.
Which was a lot of me apologizing.
No, gosh, man, listen, we had an interview every week going from like beginning of January right up to LitRPG Con, and PopPop too. Like
I have
PopPop's
3 or 4 a week. However, he knows what's happening.
Oh man, yeah, you PopPop, you are crazy. You and Rec both. But here we are tonight. This one is a little bit different, right? Like Spoiler Sessions, we talk, we get into the books, and we try not to spoil it really for anybody. And we have SC Culligan in the chat. So hello.
Hey, Corey.
So we have about 6 questions here for you guys. PopPop's gonna ask some, I'm gonna ask some. And there is a very special topic that I want to talk about kind of at the very end, and we're going to surprise everybody with that. But anything you guys got going on you want to tell us about here before we get started?
I'm writing my 3rd book of my Farmer series again, which people will be happy to know.
Oh my God.
I haven't gone off on...
And so what we're talking about is Unorthodox Farming. I'm sorry, I should have said that first.
Yeah, you should have.
That series. PopPop has both books as props tonight already. He's held them up in front of the camera. And we have and also you are well known for the Vampire Vincent. And so we have questions about both of those series. You also have another series called First Line of Defense. No questions about that series tonight, but as it is, we have about 30 minutes to get through this, and I
thought it was 22.
Is it 22 minutes now? 27. There 27 left.
Okay,
yeah,
good compromise. One before you do this, I just wanted to say, Unorthodox Farming was one of the very first series that I read as I came into the genre. After I, got bushwhacked by DCC. The reason why I picked it is, and Benjamin's gonna understand this and appreciate this. It's because of the ghost on the front cover. There's a story behind that. So, and I've been waiting ever since I finished the 2nd book for. Just saying. Go ahead.
So PopPop messaged me the other day and was like, "Hey, I would love to, do you have anybody to co-host your Benjamin episode?" And I was like, "No, but I would love to have you come and talk." So, and we have a bunch of people. I'm trying to keep track of the chat here. We have a bunch of people in chat now. Welcome to the Admiral, Sandy, Ellen. Whoa, a 3rd book that you mentioned in Unorthodox Farming. We need more system exploits. Excellent. I love every single one of your series. It's true. You are amazing and inviting cover art. PopPop is really a ghost.
I am not a ghost. I'm far from a ghost.
He's the ghost of Florida future.
There you go.
That's right. How did you know?
He knows everything.
All right, so let's get right into this. This is so our first set of questions is for Unorthodox Farming, and PopPop, I'll let you take whichever question you want. You go first, and you can kick it off.
I'm going to go with the first one.
All right.
how did shifting Arnold from a dungeon diving farmer to a strategic trap builder change the mechanics you wanted to explore? I would never ask a question like that, but this is a Jared question. He goes a lot deeper than me.
And we can, if you want to just give us a quick synopsis of the story in case somebody stumbles across this on the internet so they have some context.
Okay, so the synopsis for Farmer is a semi-pro gamer gets isekai'd from our world to another world, which behaves like a video game. There is magic, there is monsters, there is classes, there's the ability to level up. And instead of being a mighty wizard, he became a farmer. He has no option. He doesn't get experience from killing monsters, he only gets experience from farming. So one day when he discovers that he gets experience for defending his farm from monsters, the entire his entire view of the world shifts, and it turns into Home Alone for adults, with giant swinging axes in barns and trolls that are being baited to be hobo killed.
Oh, it's so glorious! It really is glorious.
Yeah. So my question was about that question. What do you mean by dungeon diving farmer to?
I would say basically, you know, even though it's not dungeon diving, but it's basically on his farm where he has to do everything within the plots, and the plots are like very specific sized, and he has to do certain numbers of events.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason I started off like that was because I kind of wrote Farmer as a reaction to a lot of the LitRPG at the time, because I started reading LitRPG in 2019. And I read so many where like these guys got isekai'd and they're like, oh no, I lost my family. Oh, that sucks. I better go on adventure now. And so and that was one thing that I was like sort of raging against personally. And the second thing I was raging against was the fact that all these worlds seem to have a huge amount of secrecy around the system, around levels, around everything. And it's like, it didn't feel integrated to me in the sense that you were building this place that felt real. Because like, if you've ever been a farmer, you live out in like rurally, it's like, oh yeah, I know this one thing about like putting crops in at this time of year. Yes, I'm going to tell every single person I know because I'm going to have a yarn. People talk. We exchange information. It's very, very rare, unless you're in a like corporate setting, that you hide details that makes other people's lives better. And so it didn't make sense to me that everyone was hiding this information. So I built a world that was structurally sound, where it's like, oh, it takes you right now it takes you an entire lifetime to build up and get you like to a high level. You don't ever get a second class. You just like kind of get closer. Every generation we do a little bit better, sort of thing. And so the reason why I had it expand was because that was the type of world they were in. It was like, oh, we're testing this on a farm. Yes, it worked. Cool, we go bigger. Because everyone else wants to use this. It's like if you get an advantage when you're growing a specific type of crop, and it's like, oh yeah, my yield's 50% higher than the neighbor. It's like, I can totally afford to buy his farm now, and I make a lot more money than he does. And so it was very much that mentality of like, how does farming actually work? And like the economic side of that was why it started originally with just him on a farm, and then be like, okay, we're going to take this big.
I'm curious, just listening, if you have any experience farming. Like, where did that come from?
So I have barely any experience farming. It's like 2 days in my life, but I was a beekeeper for 8 years.
Oh okay.
Yeah, yeah. My favorite criticism when the first book came out was I got so much rage online from people going, "What do you have against farmers?" It's like, what do they do? They grow all our food. And I'm like, I literally live rurally. I'm on a 5-acre block. I've worked as a beekeeper for 8 years. I love farmers. I know a heck of a lot of farmers. But I also knew my one cousin from Switzerland, Patrick. And when he came over to New Zealand, I had never seen a man want to farm less in my life. And he was very city. He was very like, I'm going the the programming route in life. I want nothing to do with farming. And so that part of him was the inspiration for Arnold, because I'd never, because New Zealand is such a farming nation, everyone knows about farming. You may not live on a farm, but everyone knows about it here. It's kind of like Texas in that sense. And
yeah,
so because of that, I was very much like, oh, this is the only time I've ever met someone who's so against this. Oh, this is what this looks like. And so I put that into Arnold.
One of the things I really liked about the series, especially with it being an isekai, and where a lot of isekais you have a system, yes, but it is just a broad open system where you have your skills, you can do whatever you want. However, with your system, with Arnold being stuck as that farmer, you just don't go and farm willy-nilly. You have to farm within the parameters of each block, with each tool, with each crop, in order to advance the crop. So you really created a world that has rigid gaming structure. And I thought that was nifty. I thought that's one of the things that really attracted me. And even when you switched it to the traps, and when you switched it to, future down, when you actually have to start interacting with more powerful people, they're still limited as to what they can do. So that's what I really like about the series.
Well, so we have people are still commenting in the chat here. I just want to encourage everyone, if you have like a hot burning question that is related to the series that we're talking about, go ahead and put it in the chat. Ellen, I popped this up a second ago. I just wanted to make sure you saw it. I'd love to learn about your beekeeping experience. So do you have any comments on that one?
I ended up a beekeeper, not by choice, but because I had no plans in life. I was 16. My mother came to me one day and was like, so do you know what you want to do when you leave school? And I'm like, and her reply to that was, you've got 5 uncles who are beekeepers. Maybe you'll like doing that. I'm
Good
like, and so she's like, I'm going to send you up to your uncle for the school holidays, and you're going to work for him and see if you like it. So I get sent up north to work for my uncle. I'm 16 at the time. Never actually had a job at this point because we lived rurally, and I'd originally lived in the city. And so I had no rural experience, and didn't work out for me. And so I go up to work for my uncle, and this is family rates. This is I'm not getting paid. And my uncle's like, this is our busy season. Welcome to 60-hour weeks. We work Monday to Friday.
Wow.
So I would basically get up at 8 a.m., get to work by 8 a.m., and I would be home back at their place by about 12. And I did this for 2 weeks. And
12 noon or 12 midnight? Midnight.
Yeah. And so I worked harder than I've ever worked in my life, especially because I had no experience working that hard. I got exposed to all sorts of craziness because it was like, I think it was day 3, and my uncle's work is just like, so we need to load these boxes onto this hive. And I'm like, cool. You got to understand, these are bee boxes, so they've got frames and there's wax, there's honey in there. And these had been outside because they'd just been processed. And there were about 20,000 bees on them. So I'm out there, shorts and a t-shirt, 8 in the morning, clouds of bees. And he starts loading them on. And I'm 16. So you know what you're like at 16. It's like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. So I'm out there.
In the ER with 3,000 bee stings.
Yeah. So, no, that's a later story. So I'm throwing these boxes on the ute because I'm not going to be outdone by this older guy. And I had just a bunch of stories like that from the 2 weeks I worked there. Dropped 5 kilos, which is 10 pounds, because of how hard I was working, and had a fabulous time. But you're talking about 3,000 stings. So I only went out with my uncle one day, and that was the last morning I was there. And my uncle was like, oh, we don't need suits. It's early in the morning. We're just moving some hives. It'll be perfectly fine. We just need a smoker. And I was like, well, I'm going to grab this veil and I'm going to grab these gloves just in case. And so I hadn't worked with my uncle the entire time I was there, except for this. And I go out with him and we forget to put a strap on, and he doesn't double check my work. So the third row back of the beehives doesn't have a strap on. So we get on the motorway and he turns a sharp corner and you see 3 beehives go flying off the side. And then he's like, oh crap, we got to get these back on the ute. And I look out there, I'm like, you're the guy who told me we're not bringing suits. We'll be totally fine. I'm looking at that and there's literally clouds of angry bees at this stage because these are 3 hives, 100,000 plus bees in each hive. And now they're really angry and really defensive. I look out there and I'm like, I will die. No. That was the only time I said no that week. And my uncle was just like, what? I was like, no, I will die. I'm not doing this. I've been stung exactly, I think it was 4 times in that 2 weeks. And I was like, I will get stung at least like 500 times if I go out there. So I gave my uncle the hood, offered him the gloves. He's like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, okay. He goes and grabs the smoker, gets it going, starts smoking the bees, and eventually gets everything back together and gets it on the ute and all strapped up. And he comes in and his hands look like porcupines. I am not kidding. There is over 200 stings in each hand. And then there's stings on the rest of his body too. No swelling whatsoever. The man had been a beekeeper for about 20 plus 30 years at that point.
Oh, his immune system was like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My immune system was like, look, this will kill you. And so me and him finished unloading those hives, and I proceeded to get stung, I think it was 17 times that morning while working with my uncle, where I'd got stung 4 times in 2 weeks while working with his workers.
Oh, man.
I think I've been stung by bees 2 to 3 times in my entire life.
Thousands.
Oh, my gosh. I feel like you have a lot of stories, and I could just listen to you forever. I think people in the chat.
It took us.
Well, you know what?
It took half the thing to just do question 1.
Oh well,
we could stay on task here because
we could.
When Benjamin decides to finish Unorthodox Farming 3, he'll be able to have an interview on my show, which I can keep on for at least an hour and a half, so we can babble. I know you don't like to babble.
Oh, I do. I fight against it for this season. But let's go to question 2 here because I definitely want to get to the Vampire Vincent.
Yep.
And then I want to get to the surprise question at the end. So at least, can you describe the original? And I'm using your language here. The original physically impossible ending for book 1, and why more realistic version work better for Arnold's arc.
Okay. So in the first ever draft of Unorthodox Farming 1, there's this. So in the final version, there's the scene where Arnold gets back to Jarek and everyone who's hiding, and the barns are being destroyed, and he's in this little like watch room with them, and they see the giant walking towards the trap, and everything's going well, and Arnold starts getting upset, and then he like Salem asks him why he's upset, and Arnold basically starts monologuing about like how like everything's going exactly how it's supposed to go, and he outlines what he thought would happen, and what he describes is actually the first draft. So in the first draft, the giant didn't go towards the hole. Arnold's running out there. He's charging this massive monster. He's throwing a wall pitchfork, hitting it in the dick, pissing it off, and being chased by this giant and this horde of like trolls and ogres and everything else, and running across the top of this trap, and then them sort of like charging after him and falling in, and then all the ogres and everything start fighting each other after that. And I finished writing that, and then sat down and reread the book, and I was like, no, he dies here. Like I've built this up a lot, but what this creature is, he should die. This can't work as an ending. It's just logically flawed. I'm like, I can't even hand wave this away with the rule of cool. And so I went back to the story and I rewrote the story for, this is actually the trap's going to do it. It's not going to be him. It's not going to be him like interacting with monsters like you'd have in a normal story. It's like everything goes to plan. So everything for the build-up of the trap, and the development of it got expanded in the story, so that that was the final piece of the puzzle and the thing that works. And the reader feels satisfied that this worked because I spent so many words explaining how they're preparing.
Was gonna go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got to the end of it, and I was just like, you know what? I really don't want to feel like I wasted that first draft, because I cut 40K off the ending, the original ending, and I'd never published anything at that stage. That was like the 13th book I'd written, but I'd never published anything. And I was like, that's a lot to waste. So I added that scene of him monologuing and whining about how he thought things were going to go, and like how he thought he was going to pull it off, and how cool he would have been if he could do all that. And I just made it into a giant joke, and I just thought it was I thought it was pretty funny.
Oh man,
because it was in part it was me whining about the fact that I just had to go and rewrite this entire book and change it for the ending, so that the whole story now works.
You cut 40K off
the end, yeah.
Oh my god!
And then had to rebuild it, yeah.
Wow, that. Yeah, we have a question here in the chat. What is the rule of cool? I think,
okay,
go ahead.
So your world in a book has to be logically consistent. For most stories, it has to be interesting, it has to be engaging, and you have to adhere to the physics of your own universe. So you might change something that says, oh, if someone jumps up and down 5 times, everyone around them will sneeze. So because this is now a rule, you always apply that. Someone jumps 5 times, everyone sneezes. The rule of cool basically says, if this is cool enough, you can trump physics. Like you can totally ignore physics and just keep the coolness. A lot of places fail with this. There was the recent Superman movie. You've got Superman fighting a whole bunch of dudes in Iron Man suits, beats them up midair, and they start falling. And you're just like, oh, Superman just killed 2,000 dudes because they just fell like 3 miles. I don't care, like the fact that they're wearing metal armor. They're mush inside those suits. They've just had a 3-kilometer impact. So like if you do the rule of cool like properly, it's like, oh, they do all that, they fall, and then they have like this little like bubble thing appear around them, like they basically got a, what's it called?
Like a shield.
Like airbags built into their suits. It's like, and they're about to hit the ground. It's like pop, 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 pop. And you're like, okay, now I believe this. It's like Superman just didn't kill 2,000 people. It's fine. They've got airbags.
Is the rule of cool the same as hand wavium?
No, it's hand wavium is when Star Trek did it best. It was they called it technobabble, which was words that sounded cool but didn't really mean anything. It was like, oh, the deflector shield. We never really got told what the deflector did specifically or how it could be used, but they kept using it to push things away. Well, the tractor beam was to pull things. And so you change the polarity on that and you can pull anything towards you. You change the polarity on the deflector, you can push anything away. So that's hand wavium. It's not giving enough information to tell the reader or the viewer exactly what's going on. And so we kind of just accept that the deflector can do a certain amount of undefined things and pushing away. And the tractor beam can do undefined things and pulling towards you, as long as they do enough screen time to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's hand wavium. Rule of cool is I'm kind of breaking the rules of my universe in order to add the scene or add whatever the character's doing, but it's so cool we're going to allow it. It's like Tony Stark building his suit in a cave with literally blacksmith forging equipment. Yes, he's got bombs and all of that sort of stuff around, but it's just like, really? Were you able to program this in a cave? Okay. You able to do all this there? Okay. I'm pretty sure some of this stuff is like smaller than the human eye can see when you have to build it for like, but okay, yeah. That's just too cool. We're just gonna let, yeah. And we completely ignore that fact because it's just so cool. Like it's fantastic.
Well, Benjamin, I could actually, I could listen to you teach a whole course on all of this, and I'm hoping Geneva will let you next summer. We're going to get on that. We have a few more comments here in the chat. Before we go on to the Vampire Vincent, I want to just ask about something you just threw out there, and we just let it go. Did you say you had written 13 books before you published Unorthodox Farming, the first book?
Yeah, I worked out about 2014. I'd been writing as a hobby for about 2.5 years at that point, and it was only because beekeepers work spring, summer, autumn. We basically get the winter off. So you do 60-hour, 80-hour weeks, spring, summer, and autumn, and then you just got the winter off. So I'd been using my winters to write as a hobby because I picked it up when I was in Australia as a hobby. And it finally occurred to me when I was working 60-hour weeks as a beekeeper in summer and finding 20 hours on top of that to write that, oh, if I could barely pay my bills, I'd be happier as a writer than anything else in the world. And the day I had that realization, I was just like, oh, okay. I have to figure out how to make this my job. And so one of the things I learned from watching different panels and stuff on YouTube was just, you have to, finish a book. Your first book is the most important book you ever finish because 99% of people never finish their first book. And that is the big divider. You will get to the end of your first book and you will know whether or not you want to be a writer or if you really want to continue with this, because it's really hard or it's really easy. Like my first book, I wrote as a way to distract me from reality TV. I love my best friend, but when I was living with him in the Gold Coast, the man has the worst taste in television on the planet. He loves reality TV.
Oh,
and this is back in TiVo days, and he'd work 8 days on, 4 days off. So he'd get home from work, and he would just start binge watching reality TV. And I'd lived with him for about 2 months. I'd read 60 novels at the local library. I'd run out of things to read, and I was sitting there like mind melting one day, and I'm just like, okay, I need to do something to distract myself. So I pulled out my laptop, put some music on, and just started writing my first book just as a way to escape reality TV. And 4 hours later, I had 2,000 words. It was absolute trash beyond trash. I failed high school English, so grammar did not exist in this. Like I'm saying, like there is one paragraph break in an entire page of text. There might have been full stops. There's definitely no commas. I was in the teenage years, I was that teenage you cringed at when you saw their post on Facebook because you're like, what does that say? Yeah. And so I just loved, I had fun. I was like, oh, if he annoys me with reality TV again, this is what I do. And he annoyed me a lot with reality TV. So 2 months later, I'd written a 50,000 word book. And that became my hobby. I was like, oh, this is fun. And that was the mindset I came to with writing with, is this is fun. Mm-hmm. And so I had 2.5 years where I just did it as a hobby. And it was, this is the most self-indulgent crap you've ever seen, because I'm just like, I don't want to hurt my main character. I don't want to do this. I just want like absolute power fantasy, which is probably why I loved LitRPG the moment I found it. And so 2.5 years later, I'm like, if this could pay my bills, I would be happier doing this than anything else in the world. And once I had that realization, I started working towards being a writer. And so fast forward sort of 6-7 years, it's like I'd written 13 books for practice. I'd probably been able to publish about 3 years earlier, but I realized because I had my beekeeping business, a few other things, I could live like a poor bum and just write and practice. That I was never going to get that good of an opportunity just to practice writing again. And so I just spent all that time just practicing and working on different things and improving my craft. Instead of like publishing the moment I could.
So I want, are we ever going to see any of those 13 books? Will they ever see the light of day?
Only one. There's a book I wrote called The Weight of Guilt. that I still have to finish. That was originally going to be my first book I published and went big with. And I was writing that just before COVID. And I was supposed to finish that. And that was the book me and my writing teacher, David Farland, were going to try get the big deal from one of the big 5 publishers with. It was, big deal is, in publishing, all the major publishers each year publish one new writer. The big 5, sorry. They publish one new writer and a new series, and they give them a huge push. So basically, they do like $250,000 marketing budget. And what they're trying to do is create a bestseller overnight. And they do this for every genre that they publish, trying to build up new bestsellers. And that was the deal we were going to go for. It fit all the categories for that. But then COVID came along, and I was like, oh, well, even if I finish this, publishers are risk adverse, so they're not buying new series at high prices right now. So all the work I put into this isn't going to mean anything, basically for the next 18 to 24 months. I'm like, well, this sucks. And I'm stuck at home in New Zealand, and the whole country is on lockdown, so we're not traveling or anything. Everyone's literally at home. And I'm like, well, this is stressful. I don't want to finish this book because that's hard work. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to write a LitRPG book that I've just started reading. I'm like, these things are cool. And so I wrote a LitRPG book. It was a crime against literature and should never see the light of day. It is just terrible. And I got to the end of it, finished it, and went, wow, this is so bad that it would be easy to write a new book and then try to fix this monstrosity. And so I did that, and I started writing Farmer. And I got halfway through it, and I was like, oh, this is good. People want to read this. Yeah. I should edit that when I do. Yep. I finished it, got halfway through editing, and went, crap, people will want to pay for this. I have to publish this. Otherwise, I've just wasted all this time. And I got through editing it, and I was like, oh, this is really good. God damn it. At that time, He Who Fights with Monsters hadn't come out. Athon hadn't taken off big. There was no really big indie pubs in LitRPG yet. Yeah. Dakota Kraut's Mount Dale Press was taking off, but it was more just Dakota at that point. And so I was like, there's no one I can really sell this to. And I was like, I've got to self-publish this, which is something I never wanted to do. I wanted to be that author, just like, here's my manuscript.
Yeah.
Thank you for the check. Goodbye. And just walk away. And so I contacted a friend of mine who's one of like 10 Kiwi authors who made a living as a self-published author on Amazon, and found out he's back from Argentina because their lockdown was worse than ours. And he walked me through the entire process of self-publishing. Mm-hmm. His name's Aaron Hodges. And he basically hand-holded me through the process, got everything done, and it's like, and then when the book took off, he's like, okay, these are the things you need to do to capitalize on this. And I was like, thank you. Yeah.
That's awesome. And we have a bunch of chat messages here. Someone said we are also grateful for the reality TV. I think you should thank that roommate in one of your acknowledgments if you haven't already. We have the weight of guilt. I truly look forward to exploring that eventually when that comes. Before we get sidetracked here, I have a question on the Vampire Vincent. So so I want to do that. I don't really hold us fast to 30 minutes, especially when we start talking about something that people are truly interested in.
And we have an amazing person like Benjamin Kerei on the show.
Yeah. And Corey, we'll get to that question here at the end, if that's okay. I want to move us to the Vampire Vincent. And again, if you could just give us it's funny to hear you talk about family, because family is part and parcel to this story. But tell us a little bit about Vinny here. I'm going to ask the question, and then maybe you can kind of start us off. The question is, with Angelica now escaped, and you're going to have to maybe tell us a little bit the relationship Vinny has with Angelica. How do you handle the intense fan interest in her future while keeping your plans for her a secret?
Oh,
No spoilers.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, that's not
I
my
mean,
show. Is it
little
my
baby,
show? Is
little
it my
baby
show?
spoilers. Yeah.
Well, so give you some background information. So Angelica is a girl who was brought up in a cult, a very horrible, like demonic cult. And just so happened that Vincent got hungry and he found their cult when they were about to sacrifice it.
Mm-hmm.
Angelica's problem is she thought that she didn't know that she was the sacrifice. She thought that she was the one getting empowered, and that, like her older siblings, she would go off to the farm somewhere else and join the cult in other aspects. And so when Vincent meets her, he basically just walks into the cult and the ritual because he's an ancient vampire. And they evil Icarus, like, what is it? Gangster recognizes gangster. Evil recognizes evil, and it's like, oh, an ancient vampire is like wants to come into our house. Yes, this will either turn out really badly for us or wonderfully, or maybe it'll be average. We'll find out. Yes, he's probably going to eat a few people, but what's a few friends between friends, sort of thing. Yeah. And so Vincent turns up at this ritual and like is looking around, and he meets Angelica. And Angelica's like kind of that clueless teenager that is like knows that bad things are going to happen, but it's like, I've been conditioned into this life.
Mm-hmm.
And sees him and is just like really, really impressed that like someone that evil had turned up to her like basically like what is it? What's it when you're like, it's the equivalent of being like introduced to high society sort of thing. It was like this was her moment.
Yeah,
sort of
debutante ball.
Yeah, yeah. That's the word. That's what. Yeah. But for a cult,
yeah.
And so like she's okay with what's going on until she sees the person being sacrificed is the only person that's ever been kind to her. So like the thing about Angelica is every kind of horror you imagine this kid suffered, and this kid's personality is being built up on the idea of I can survive. As long as I survive, everything's all good. So she is very much a survivor. She's like, I can fake a smile. I can do everything that's necessary to get through this. And when she sees the only person that's ever been kind to her being sacrificed, that's the one time she decides not to be selfish. And so she asks Vincent if he can get her out of there. And she's like, I will serve you if you can get her out of there. And Vincent's like, sure. Proceeds to rip the hearts out of half the room in about a second, because Vincent is Dracula. He is overpowered as can be. He's Dracula mixed with the immortals, except without the constant romance. And so he finishes the ritual that they started, empowers her by killing everyone, and saves her friend, but she becomes his familiar. The thing is the ritual that she's undergoing, and what he does to her is he turns her into a monster. The ritual that she was undergoing turns you into a monster over time. And he knew the full version of the ritual. So instead of being like, oh, you get a few attributes from this one person, was like, I killed the cult and gave you their attributes. And so she is much more powerful, but in his mind, I have found an evil person. And his moralizing is very logical. It's like, I can use this evil person and it doesn't matter what I do to them, sort of thing. And he didn't realize when he first met her, this was a kid. This is a kid who'd grown up in a cult and had basically been brainwashed into this life. And it was like, this was a victim, not the monster. Mm-hmm. And so his entire arc with her was, I'm trying to fix the mistake I made with her and keep her from becoming the monster I tried to make her. And so she gets away in book 2. But from her perspective, the entire time, Vincent was always a monster. It's not like, oh, you're a vampire with a soul. That's wonderful. Are you going to move in next door? This is great. It's oh my god, that's terrifying. It's like 1% less terrifying than the fact that you tell me he has a soul. It's like, oh, he's immune to holy damage. Okay, that's even more terrifying now, actually. Yeah. So Vincent, to her, is always the lesser of two evils. He's not good. Yes, her life got better. Everything got better around him. But she's been conditioned to know that she lives in a world of monsters. And you just survive the monsters. That's all that matters. So when she gets an opportunity to run away, she was always going to run away. And so the huge growth on her part was the fact that she didn't kill Vincent when she had the chance to. Spoilers.
Yeah,
you're supposed to say that beforehand, but yeah.
No, there's. Yeah. I mean, there's the title of the podcast is Spoiler Sessions. So,
okay.
So people have really embraced her as a character, right?
Oh yeah. She's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and so do you have plans for her going forward? And
oh yeah. She, I'm not done with her. She may not be in book 3. But if she's not in book 3, she'll definitely be in book 4.
Okay.
There's a bunch of things I'm doing in book 3 that I know of. I'm not sure when the fallout of Angelica leaving will come, because Angelica was made as familiar in book 1, and that means he can compel her very easily just by telling her to do stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you get angry, you're not allowed to murder random people because they like bumped you in the street. You're not allowed to do these things. So she has a lot of monstrous impulses from the ritual that he put her through, and she can't act on any of them. So up until she escaped, she thought that she was like in control of herself. She's like, oh yeah, I feel like I get incredibly angry. I can't, like, I have these mood swings that I can't control. But I'm fine. I haven't hurt anyone. It's like you haven't hurt anyone because you have like blocks in place that stop this. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
So Ellen says, Angelica is such a fabulous and unique character. It will be fulfilling to learn more about her experiences, no matter how long we need to wait for such. That's nice. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, actually, if people want real spoilers,
yes.
Don't want to say this. Okay. So,
you want to give us a hint?
The series is heading towards an apocalypse, and so
I may have to beg off in a moment or two because I have some issues going on outside with my granddaughter.
Okay. All right, PopPop. Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, thank you for being here, PopPop.
It was good to see you, mate.
Good to see you too. Bye, guys. I do apologize.
No problem. Life happens, man. It was I'm the one who went long. You gave me such a hard time about going short here, PopPop.
And now you go. Oh, that's why. Blame me. Okay, I'm to blame. Benjamin, so good to see you. Can't wait till I can actually have you with an interview because you have to finish a book.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah. No. The deal was I would come on when I finished book 3. We started this deal over a year ago now.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll read Vampire Vincent when he finishes book 3.
You're gonna miss the big reveal, PopPop, but I understand you're gonna go.
I'll listen to it tomorrow and I'll fast forward.
All right, sounds good.
Either that or Benjamin can message me.
All right,
everybody. Good to see you guys, Corey. Everyone else I don't know. Good to see you here, Jared. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you.
It's good to see you, bud.
Ciao. Good to see you, mate.
Kick me out. I don't know how. Can I kick? Can kick me out? Get rid of me.
Sure. Yeah, you got it. All right. Bye bye. All right. So are you sure you don't, just because you said big spoiler, you don't have to say it on the air?
Well, I'm terrible at like keeping things hidden. If anyone asks me any question about the series, in person, generally I will tell them because I have no filter. So the series is working towards the apocalypse. It's been hinted at in book 2. And so what do you need for the apocalypse? You need 4 horsemen. So you've met 2 of them so far. You've got Angelica, war. You've got Davina, death. And so you've got 2 more horsemen to meet.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I love stories that take those kind of old framing. I don't know how else to, you know what I mean, and sort of like rethink them. I try to do the same thing in my series as well. Okay, so we had a question from Corey that I want to get to. I promised him that I would get to it. And then we have the big thing that I want to talk about. So Corey's question was, let me pop it up here, is what's your number 1 best advice for self-publishing?
Oh, that's okay. So if you're self-publishing LitRPG, this. Oh, okay.
Do you want to think?
No, Corey, is this about LitRPG or self-publishing in general? Because that is a different.
Talk to Aaron Hodges.
Yeah.
Corey's good about. He's a quick typer. He'll get back to us here. So Corey is also an author. Did you get a chance to meet him at LitRPG Con?
Maybe.
Okay.
I met so many people, names blur together. I am terrible with names. I will come away from a con meeting 300 people, and I remember 3 names. I got a 1% retention rate.
Well, Corey does NPC for hire, and
okay,
yeah, and Luke Daniels reads his book.
Okay, so he does write a little RPG. Cool. So, what's the best advice for self-publishing? Well, if you're writing a lit RPG, one of the best things is that Royal Road matters. It is a chance to get a free audience. Your Royal Road readers, they're going to read it. They're going to talk about it. It will push your book and get sales. A lot of people, well, some writers get upset about people illegally downloading their books. I don't care. If I can give my book away to 1 million people for free tomorrow, I will. Because the thing that kills authors the most is obscurity. We are a faceless person in a sea of faceless people. And then there's Matt Dinnerman, who people recognize. Like the level of fame you have to get as an author for people to recognize you in the supermarket is actually insane. It's millions and millions of copies sold. Whereas you can be a random influencer with 20,000 followers, and you might get recognized in the supermarket. So the thing about authors and selling books is you don't want to die of obscurity. So you want to show yourself off as much as you can. And Royal Road does that. It doesn't affect sales because a lot of the people who will read on Royal Road were never going to buy it to begin with, but they will talk about it. The people who we're going to buy it, we'll read it on Royal Road and we'll buy it anyway because they want to see the finished version.
Mm-hmm.
So Royal Road, first of all, that matters. But you're beyond that point. So the advice I would give at this point is aim for the largest audience possible when you're thinking of an idea for a book. The more fringe you go, the larger percentage of the audience you have to capture in order to make a living. If you can go for an audience that is huge, you only have to capture 2% of that in order to pay your bills. And there's this thing that a lot of people are getting confused about with Dungeon Crawler Cal. People are like, oh, this will make the genre mainstream, it'll make it really, really big. It's like, to some degree, Dungeon Crawler Cal has increased the size of our audience. But we're not seeing as much overflow as you'd expect considering how many books Matt's selling. And that might change with the release of new LitRPG books and bookstores, because a lot of Matt's new audience is bookstores, but there's a huge amount of people doing it on ebook and audiobook too.
Yeah.
The thing about Dungeon Crawler Cal is Dungeon Crawler Cal audience is Marvel fans, and we've got to make a clarification. So it's like LitRPG fans, and then there's Dungeon Crawler Cal fans. So LitRPG fans are your Marvel fans that read the comic books, but they also watch the movies. Dungeon Crawler Cal fans are your Marvel fans who watch the movies but don't read the comic books. So LitRPG, as most of the genre, sits in the comic book section. And by that I mean that's our target audience. We the more nerdy nerds. And so because of that, we're not getting the overflow of Dungeon Crawler Cal that you'd expect, considering how many millions of copies he sold. And that means that we're still a niche genre when you're going hardcore LitRPG. And so you have to hit the middle of the audience if you want a chance of being very big in sales. Or you can do what Matt's done, and you can sort of go a little further away from our main genre, which is you hit the Marvel fans. But Matt's the only one who's really worked out how to do it. And I honestly swear that like the part of the reason he's the only one who's done it is because of what's it called? Not a rant. It was a argument on the LitRPG's Authors Guild years ago about what is LitRPG and what isn't LitRPG. And Matt did this really good post. This is years back, like almost 4 years back now, explaining that like LitRPG is like a zombie apocalypse story. If you can take the zombies out of the story and the story still works, you haven't written a zombie apocalypse story, because it has to be integral to the story. And wow, your stomach is really bad today.
My dog usually behaves himself. Sorry.
Yeah. And so like this was Matt's argument. Like, you take the zombies out of zombie apocalypse story. If the story still works, you haven't written a zombie apocalypse story. And the same thing applies to LitRPG. If you take the system out of it and the story still works, you haven't written a true LitRPG system. And like, he'd already written Dungeon Crawler Cal 1 at that point, but looking at what he created, it was like the system in Dungeon Crawler Cal is more integrated into every single layer of that book than in any other series out there. It influences the character, it influences the world, it influences the plot, it influences the politics, it influences the religion. It's in every single layer. And it was just, no one else has quite got it that way. And because it's so integrated with everything, his series actually feels more mainstream, because it's not like you look at the system as something that is separated from it. It is something that is through every part of it.
I'm sorry, I have to post this. This is hysterical. It's in his toes or his feet, right?
I can't remember which book it was, but one of the audiobooks got held up by ACX. And so his fans started sending feet pics to like Audible, asking them to release it, the AI to release the book. And it became like a little viral channel, and like hundreds of people like were posting feet pics to Audible.
Yeah, it's better than butt pic, which, you know, I'm sure Matt has gotten plenty of. All right, so speaking of large, we've almost gone an hour here, but you mentioned something about capturing large audiences, and that is a perfect segue to my last question, which I've been alluding to all night, and that is the legendary Moonlight Sculptor is coming to our shores, and you are a part of this venture. Could you tell us about that?
I'm the one on the periphery, but I can give you some information. So for those who don't know, well, those who sort of came after 2021, back in the olden days, there wasn't a lot of lit RPG in the West. There was one lit RPG podcast, and that was Raymond. And Raymond read every single lit RPG book that came out that week, and he rated it for you, because that's how small the genre was at the time. When I first got into lit RPG in 2019, I caught up. I read everything. I'd read everything that was out. I'd at least tried everything that was out, and so I ran out of lit RPG to read. And so, like everyone else, I found out that, oh my gosh, the Koreans are writing this, and people have done illegal translations. So I started reading Korean lit RPG, and what I found out while I was reading these legally translated Korean lit RPGs was that the Koreans had actually started lit RPG. They started back in 2005, back when WoW came out. They were like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Imagine if this was like a world, like you could go in and play these games and like in full VR. It's like, this would be cool. And so the first series that ever really took off in Korea as a lit RPG was a series called Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. And so I think I read about 8 books before the site I was reading it on didn't have any more. And like, I forgot this at the time, but the world was actually, the game world was actually called Royal Road in Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, which is where the name Royal Road comes from, because Royal Road originally started off as a fan translation site for the series Legendary Moonlight Sculptor.
That's right.
Yeah. And so a friend of mine, they started up a translation company for going into Korea, and then they found out that Korea's not coming back. It's Korean work wasn't coming here legally for the most part. There's a couple books that got out, but a lot didn't. And they operate under a company called Medio. And so one of the first things they did was they got the rights to Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, because no one had ever actually legally bought the rights to Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. And they're super fans of lit RPG. And they were like, oh, if we're going to bring any books back from Korea and make people get paid, let's bring back the first lit RPG series, the one that started it all, the one that like is the reason Royal Road is there. And without Royal Road, there would not be the opportunity for Western writers to build up with lit RPG. We would all be dealing with what's the predatory Chinese site?
Web novel? Is that the
web novel? Yeah. That offer you a contract. We'll pay you $120 a month. We own your world. We own all your characters. We own the ability to replace you, and you have to write 3 chapters a day, basically every day, for our website. Yeah. And so, like, this is the OG. This is the thing that started off all the lit RPG in Korea, which then started the Russian stuff, which started the Chinese stuff. Oh, sorry. The Koreans also started the Chinese stuff and the Japanese stuff. And we all illegally translated the stuff, and that built up our enjoyment of lit RPG, which is, funnily enough, exactly how the anime industry started off. So I was watching a funny little video on this the other day. Originally, what happened with anime is we got some Japanese cartoons, and they were all butchered when they got here. We never got the raw stuff. They were restructured, they were toned down, and hardcore fans who wanted to see it got basically recorded the original Japanese version, got them sent over to the States on VHS tapes, and there was a VHS tape exchange program for a while for original Japanese anime before the digital age. And this is what built up anime fans in the West. It was illegal downloads and illegal translations.
We call that supply and demand.
Yeah. But it's also it's not realizing that another country, another culture has a product everyone wants. It's just and that's what happened with lit RPG. It's like the Koreans didn't realize that Westerners wanted this just as much as they did. And Westerners didn't know it exists because it was all in Korean. And so a couple of fans started translating it. We started seeing chapters.
Yeah.
And then we were like, oh my God, this is fantastic as a concept. And a lot of the early LitRPG was all this VR stories. And that was because it all came out of WoW and video games and Korean fandom. And so that heavily influenced us. But basically, Legendary Moonlight Sculptor is the OG. And the guy has inspired more books than anyone realizes, because everything with writing is derivative. Like, unless you know, if never read a genre and then you just decide to write it, it's derivative in some way. And if you do that, you generally fail if you don't go and read a genre before you write it.
Yeah.
The reason why is you don't understand what people like, what people want from that genre.
Yeah.
And so you may not have read, like, as a LitRPG writer, you may not have read Legendary Moonlit Sculptor, but the guys you've read did. I read it. I know most of the big authors in LitRPG have read it, because there was a time where we all ran out of LitRPG books. You can't imagine that today, but back when I was a young person, back in my day, before all these damn LitRPG books were everywhere, we would run out of things. And so we went to these translations, and the people that were there even before that, like Aaron Kong, it's like the only thing they had to read was translations. And so this is the series that launched 1,000 series, basically.
So when can we get it? Where can we get it?
So they are doing a huge rapid release. I think it's March. It starts 2027.
Okay.
They've got a full cast for the audio. So Audible's doing a really big thing with them which is going to be very cool. And they're doing paperbacks, hardbacks, and ebooks. And I think they're doing, a lot of books very quickly. I'm very, very happy I got to beta read the first 3 books, which is very, very cool.
That's awesome. And so am I correct? I don't mean to spoil anything, but you have helped to fund this in some way. Is that right? Or you're somehow involved with it? You connecting people?
Yeah. Well, I know Rob, who runs MediaGo, and like vested early on. I was just like, oh, cool, we can go into Korea. My big thing was literally, oh, I would love to be able to send Western LitRPG to Korea, the country that inspired everything. And then we had this opportunity to be like, oh, you know what? Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, like, he never got paid for the fact that he started the genre in the West. It's like, we should totally do a proper translation of his book, bring everything here, and actually make sure the guy finally gets paid. And I was like, yes, this is an awesome idea. Because, like, what this guy did, the author of the series, I'm not using his name because I will butcher it, and that would be that'll be on the internet forever.
Much like I did with your name.
Yeah. Oh no, you got to write first time. So you just got to cut the second one out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and just add a little bit extra video with you wearing another shirt. Like, yeah, I got that right first time.
Well, I've been referring to you a certain way for 3 months in my head, and anyway, listen, we could go on and on and on here, but I want to know before you go. Okay, I don't want to keep you for multiple hours. I want to know what we can expect from you in the next few weeks and months, and where people can find you.
Well, I'm not a quick writer. Everyone who's here knows that. I go off on tangents. So I just finished my latest tangent, which was The Magistrate, which is turned into a 4-book series. I tried to write a standalone. It ended up 460,000 words, which is too long to print. So I'm breaking it up into a full book, sort of 115,000 word series, which it actually works better for that. So I finished that last week, and that's up on Patreon. I've now, what am I doing? I'm back on writing Farmer.
I don't call that a slow writer. I call that a verbose writer who tries to put it all into one tome.
Well, no. So like the running joke last year at LitRPG Con was, I don't know how to write a third book. I only know how to start a new series because I've got three series with 2 books.
Right.
And literally concerned authors came up to me and were like, Ben, we understand you have no focus. Your ADHD is hell. We can see that. You're autistic as hell. We can see that. Look, if you're going to go off on a tangent, just write a standalone. Just do that. Stop adding new series and you'll be fine. And I was like, you know what? They're right. That's what I should do. And I tried to do that. And the book just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And I got to the point where I couldn't print it. And I was like, well, I have a full book series now. And so I tried to follow the advice. It didn't work. But yeah, I've gone off a tangent.
No, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So I've just finished that. I'm back to writing Farmer. So I'm going to, over the next few months, I'm going to finish off that draft and then edit that up and start book 4 of Farmer. When Arnold, finally becomes a bard. Because there's nothing, look, I decided this a few years ago. I was like, Arnold is a real person. He is not your, he's a little over the top in places, but that was mainly because he was depressed and didn't care if he lived or died. So he threw himself into situations where normal people wouldn't. But I was like, okay, what, if you think of the actual nerds out there, and it's like, you end up in a fantasy world, you can level up, you can increase your stats. Do you become the raging gym barbarian you always wanted to become, but were too lazy to do? Or do you become the hot dude who just goes, hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
And yeah. And I was like, let's be honest, 95% of nerds become the hot guy. A lot of us do. And it's like, we're kind of basic. So it's like, okay, the man's investing in charisma. And then I was like, what else do we do if we end up as a kite? I was like, do we go off and be authentic and be original and be that guy who comes up with his own stuff? Or do we have all of the rock music from history that no one in this world knows, and we're going to basically go out and plagiarize everything that exists there?
Sweet
and
Caroline, baby.
Yeah. Rockstar hot guy dreams.
That's right.
And I was like, yeah, Arnold's a basic bitch.
Yeah.
He's going to go through his basic run, which will be his bard trilogy, and then he's going to grow up.
What's cool about that, and I've actually seen this done in another series, but you'll get readers that are super into whatever he's singing, right? Like, so you're not making up stuff. You're like, he's doing stuff that people love.
Well, so like there's another reason, like music's heavy and a big focus in the Farmer series, because it's the only part of our world really that he could bring into his new world.
Yeah.
And it's like, you walk down the street and you hear a familiar song, and you're in let's say you're in Italy and you're hearing Sweet Caroline, you suddenly feel like you're far more at home than you did 30 seconds before.
Yeah.
Like no one around you is speaking English, but you hear that one song, you're like, oh, okay, I'm far more comfortable now. Yeah. I can relate to these people. And so for Arnold, it's like, part of it is just him being basic, but the other part is that, oh, I can share my world with this world. I can share our music. And it's like the time he felt most at home in this world was when he was walking down a street and he had taught a bard I See Fire.
Yes.
Yeah. And he hears that song walking next to a bar while drunk, and he's just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's that moment of, oh, I'm not in another place. I'm home. And so music for him has a deeper meaning, because it's one of the few things that survives being isekai'd. That and cooking. But
so you're referring to the Ed Sheeran "I See Fire," I'm guessing. Is
yeah.
So for anybody listening, and eventually I'm gonna have to say goodnight, everybody. But for anybody who's listening, there's a local band here called Anaria who does a great rendition of metal, like a symphonic metal version of "I See Fire," which is fire, as they say.
Oh, cool.
Well, listen. I am gonna cut us off here. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank PopPop for being here. I want to thank the number of people watching has been growing, believe it or not, as we've been talking. And I want to thank all the folks in chat. Thank you for your comments and thank you for your questions. And people are asking you to do some karaoke at LitRPG Con 2027.
No. No one wants that. No one wants that. I sing like a kick goat. That is the aspect of Arnold, of me, that is in the story. I generally add one aspect of myself to my main characters, and that is my tone deafness.
All right,
was added to Arnold. Yeah.
Just saying, I'll do a duet with you, my friend. So, if you find a song.
I have to be blind drunk to do karaoke, and you don't want to hear blind drunk kick goat.
I feel like we kind of do, but anyway, I'm going to say good night. Thank you again.
All good.
And
thank you for having me.
We'll talk to you soon. Okay. Good night, everyone.
See ya. Bye.
All right. And we're